Chelsea might have just made the smartest decision they could possibly make.
But now we have the here we go, Xabi Alonso as new Chelsea manager, deal done.
Because Xabi Alonso is already one of the best managers in world football. Bringing Xabi Alonso to Stamford Bridge means bringing in the bloke who won the Bundesliga and domestic double completely invincible, with a Bayer Leverkusen side that had never done it before.
So you're bringing in a manager a little bit like Jurgen Klopp, who, Bundesliga to Premier League can definitely work.
A manager who built a historic 51-match, unbeaten run in all competitions, only losing in the Europa League final. And let's be honest, mate, the Bundesliga today is probably the closest thing stylistically to the Premier League outside of England itself. And here's the scary part. Even when things went wrong at Real Madrid, Xabi Alonso still had basically the same numbers as Hansi Flick. In 34 matches, 24 wins, 4 draws, and only 6 defeats. For Chelsea, bringing Xabi in is basically insurance that this club does not disappear from Europe again.
It's a statement. It's a statement. I mean, Leverkusen was brilliant, won the league, big job at Real Madrid. You don't become a bad manager overnight. They just didn't accept what he was wanting, i.e. work hard and pressing. That's the basics, run about.
Because the objective is crystal clear now. Restore direction to a young project overflowing with talent. A project that already showed flashes of greatness by winning the Club World Cup, lifting the Conference League.
It's a great pass! And they have got...
And returning to the Champions League.
Pedro doing well here, lashes the shot in.
And Chelsea genuinely believe Xabi Alonso is the man capable of unlocking the absolute maximum from this squad individually and collectively. And look at the tools he's about to work with, mate. It's ridiculous. Reece James and Jorel Hato in defence. Malo Gusto and Marc Cucurella bombing up and down the flanks. Moises Caicedo, the best ball winner in the Premier League. Andre Santos, a youngster with genuine superstar potential. Cole Palmer, who when comfortable might genuinely be the best attacking midfielder on the planet. Alejandro Garnacho, a raw talent who becomes unstoppable if he finally locks in mentally. But here's where things get terrifying. One of Xabi Alonso's biggest strengths is how he maximises individual talent through the system itself. He creates structures that allow gifted players to hit their absolute ceiling. Just look at Florian Wirtz. Under Alonso, Wirtz became one of the best playmakers in world football because Xabi gave him freedom to interpret spaces and dominate the final third. So now imagine what he could do with Estevão Willian, a kid with a style and talent level that reminds people of Lamine Yamal. And if you pair that with Andre Santos developing at the same time, mate, that's terrifying. And there's still more. Pedro Neto, an explosive winger with goals in him. The uncertainty around João Pedro and Enzo Fernandez. But if they stay, Alonso absolutely can build a serious project around both of them. And this is key. One of Alonso's conditions for taking the Chelsea job was having real power in the transfer market. Voice, vote, control. And now he has it. 3 or 4 reinforcements are already expected to arrive. And with the planning, tactical structure, and long-term vision this man has, Chelsea are building something that could genuinely shake the Premier League. So, yes, the Premier League absolutely has a Xabi Alonso problem. Don't believe it? Take a look at this. To understand what kind of manager Chelsea now have on their bench, we need to go back to the beginning. When Bayer Leverkusen appointed Xabi Alonso in October 2022, even some football experts were shocked. Of course, the Spaniard's reputation already carried massive weight. As a player, he had won everything. World Cup winner with Spain in 2010, 2-time European champion.
Xabi Alonso's arriving!
Champions League winner with Liverpool and Real Madrid. Bundesliga champion 3 times with Bayern Munich. But being a legendary footballer does not automatically make you an elite manager. And when Xabi arrived at Leverkusen, the situation was a mess. The club sat 17th in the Bundesliga after just 8 matches under Gerardo Seoane. They had also been battered 2-0 by Porto in the Champions League days before Alonso walked through the door. Confidence was dead. The dressing room looked broken. Then came October 8th, 2022. Xabi Alonso's debut. Leverkusen smashed Schalke 4-0 in what became the biggest winning margin ever by a debut manager in club history. But the reality is, stabilising the team was not easy. After that first victory came 2 brutal defeats. 3-0 against Porto, and then a humiliating 5-1 loss away to Eintracht Frankfurt. The squad was still unstable, the ideas were still new. But once the players finally understood Alonso's football philosophy, everything changed. Leverkusen suddenly won 3 league games in a row, including a stunning 5-0 demolition of Union Berlin, who at that moment were top of the Bundesliga. That match completely transformed the mentality of the squad. Then came another huge statement. A 2-1 victory over Julian Nagelsmann's Bayern Munich. The belief was growing. After finishing third in their Champions League group, Leverkusen dropped into the Europa League. And this is where Alonso started showing something special as a knockout manager. They survived a brutal penalty shootout against Monaco in the Principality. Then they eliminated Ferencváros and Union Saint-Gilloise. And suddenly, Leverkusen were in a European semi-final against Jose Mourinho's Roma. Xabi Alonso against his old mentor.
Xabi Alonso, his father was a manager, so he grew up similar to me. He was born with a father player, he grew up with a father manager, then he became a player, of course much better than I was. Then he became a player, a top player. His position on the pitch and his knowledge of the game very high. He played in Spain, in England and in Germany, and he was coached by Guardiola in Bayern, by myself in Real Madrid, by Ancelotti in Real Madrid, by Benitez in Liverpool. So I think if you put all this together, I think Xabi has conditions to be a very good coach.
They lost narrowly 1-0 on aggregate against Mourinho's famous low block, but that tie gave Alonso's young squad something priceless: experience, edge, and competitive maturity. And maybe the most important thing Xabi did that season was rebuilding Florian Wirtz. Wirtz had just returned from a torn ACL. Alonso managed his minutes carefully, protected him physically, but gave him complete freedom creatively. He turned him into a pure, free-roaming playmaker between the lines. In just half a season, Wirtz produced 4 goals and 8 assists, and instantly returned to elite-level football. That alone was one of Alonso's biggest victories, because by the end of the season, Xabi Alonso had taken Bayer Leverkusen from second last in the Bundesliga all the way up to 6th place, from chaos to European qualification, from crisis to belief. The 2023-24 season will be remembered as the year Xabi Alonso broke football logic, the year he destroyed historical curses and changed what people thought was possible in Germany. Because this wasn't Bayern Munich. This wasn't a super club used to winning every year. This was Bayer Leverkusen, a club that just a year and a half earlier was dying near the relegation zone, a club mocked for years with that cruel nickname Neverkusen. And Xabi turned them into Neverlusen. Leverkusen won the first Bundesliga title in their 120-year history, and they did it without losing a single match. 28 wins, 6 draws, 0 defeats, 90 points. An invincible league campaign, something never seen before in Bundesliga history. 144 goals scored across the season, only 42 conceded. A machine built to attack, press, circulate, suffocate, and punish. The first defining battle came on February 10th, 2024 at the Bay Arena, Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich. A direct fight for the top of the Bundesliga. Leverkusen won 3-0 with goals from Josip Stanisic, Alex Grimaldo and Jeremy Frimpong, but the result was bigger than the scoreline. That night, Leverkusen didn't just beat Bayern, they psychologically destroyed the empire that had ruled Germany for more than a decade. The second act came on April 14th, 2024, matchday 29. The day Leverkusen finally became Bundesliga champions. The Bay Arena was ready for history, and the team delivered a 5-0 demolition of Werder Bremen. Victor Boniface opened the scoring from the penalty spot. Granit Xhaka smashed in a rocket from distance, and then Florian Wirtz turned the stadium into chaos with the first hat-trick of his professional career. The pitch invasion said everything. More than a century of frustration was gone. The curse was buried. Then came the final touch. The Pokal final against Kaiserslautern on May 25th. Just 3 days after the painful European defeat in Dublin, Leverkusen had to prove they were mentally strong enough to finish the job. Xhaka scored a stunning goal in minute 17. Then Kosunu was sent off before half-time, and with 10 men for the entire second half, Leverkusen suffered, resisted, and held on to win 1-0. That was the domestic double. Invincible in Germany. Historic forever. But the real genius of Xabi Alonso was how he elevated every individual inside the system. Florian Wirtz became the crown jewel, the creative lighthouse of the team. With total freedom between the lines, he destroyed defensive blocks with his vision, movement and ball carrying, finishing with 18 goals and 20 assists in all competitions. Victor Boniface became the main executioner, scoring 21 goals with his power, link-up play and ability to pin defenders. And when Boniface got injured, Patrick Schick stepped up with 13 goals, becoming the king of stoppage-time miracles against Karabakh and Hoffenheim. The engine of the team was Granit Xhaka, a €25 million signing, who became Xabi's voice on the pitch, leading the Bundesliga in passes into the final third. Next to him, Ezequiel Palacios brought balance, elegance, recovery and distribution. And then came the wing-backs, pure chaos. On the right, Jeremy Frimpong destroyed defences, more than 860 sprints and 14 goals. On the left, Alex Grimaldo arrived for free from Benfica and completely changed the role. He wasn't just a fullback, he moved inside, organised play, attacked space, delivered set pieces, and finished the season with 12 goals plus a ridiculous number of assists. And behind all of that, the defensive structure was led by Jonathan Tah, dominant in the air and dangerous in the opposite box with 6-headed goals. Around him, Edmund Tapsoba brought long strides and ball carrying from deep, while Kosunu added aggression and anticipation. That was the masterpiece, mate. Xabi Alonso didn't just win a title. He built one of the most perfect teams. That's what Chelsea took home. Then came the darkest and most confusing chapter of Xabi Alonso's managerial career, sitting on the bench at the Santiago Bernabeu. At first, Alonso seemed to bring the shine back to Madrid. In the Club World Cup, his team produced strong performances until the painful stumble against PSG.
Another mistake. Temple, 6 for 10.
And then the start in La Liga was brutal. And even though his cycle ended far too early, after just 7 months, 233 days in charge, the raw numbers were nowhere near a disaster. Xabi Alonso managed 34 official matches with Real Madrid and finished with 24 wins, 4 draws and 6 defeats. As we said at the start of the video, that record was almost a copy of Hansi Flick's first season numbers at Barcelona. His Madrid scored 72 goals, conceded 38 and kept 10 clean sheets. In fact, the start was dominant, 13 matches unbeaten before losing to Atletico Madrid at the Metropolitano and then to Liverpool in the Champions League. The high point of the Alonso era came with a 2-1 Clásico victory over champions Barcelona at the Bernabeu. But weirdly enough, that was also the moment everything started to break. With Madrid leading 2-1, Alonso made the risky decision to substitute Vinicius Jr. in the 72nd minute, and Vinicius exploded on the touchline shouting, "I'm leaving the team." Days later, he apologised to his teammates and the board, but deliberately refused to apologise to Xabi Alonso.
Oh, it's been a difficult time because he played a lot of games but didn't get many minutes of pay. But every coach has his own method, every coach has his own things, and I don't think I've been able to connect with what he wanted and what the team wanted. But it's been a learning moment. I've learned a lot and the players have helped me a lot. And during this time, I've also been able to reflect a lot, improve as a person. And hopefully I can continue like this with Abel, who I have a wonderful connection with.
And that wasn't just a bad attitude, that was the chain of command breaking in public. From that moment, the dressing room started slipping away, with other important figures like Jude Bellingham also showing frustration. On the other side of this internal war, Kylian Mbappé became Alonso's most unexpected and most productive ally. The French striker delivered outrageous numbers, 29 goals in 25 matches. He adapted to the tactical demands, showed discipline, and became the only major star publicly backing Alonso's project. A week later, Madrid beat Valencia 4-0, and Alonso had 13 wins in 14 matches. Everything looked like momentum again, but after that, the momentum disappeared completely. In the next 11 matches, Madrid suffered 3 defeats, 3 draws, and only one genuinely strong performance. A 3-0 win away at Athletic Club on December 3rd. And with Alonso fighting against rivals on the pitch and half of his own dressing room off it, the Spanish Super Cup final arrived. Madrid lost to Barcelona, and the club sacked him. But this is where we need to be careful, mate, because what happened at Real Madrid needs context. Xabi Alonso was basically managing against half of his own squad. The dressing room had been taken over by egos, powerful stars and players unwilling to accept authority. And even then, his numbers were still very strong. Now, with Madrid suffering another trophyless season, many Madrid fans look back and realise the truth. Maybe Alonso was never the real problem. Maybe the problem was the dressing room. Because right now, Real Madrid's locker room looks less like a football team and more like a kindergarten full of spoiled kids with massive egos. And the results speak for themselves. And now for Xabi, Chelsea has not exactly been an easy place for managers to survive. Maresca fell out with the hierarchy because he felt he didn't have enough control.
Since I joined the club, the last 48 hours has been the worst 48 hours since I joined the club because many people didn't support.
Rosenia lasted only 3 months before getting sacked.
Yeah. Was that the worst of your reign so far?
Yeah. In the basics, in the pride that you should have in wearing a shirt, that was unacceptable. I've defended the players, and I am accountable. I've always said that.
And now Xabi Alonso, former Real Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen boss, is set to become Chelsea's 6th permanent manager since Blueco took over in May 2022. So the question is obvious. Why could Xabi Alonso and Chelsea actually be the perfect match? First, the system. A lot has been said about Alonso preferring a back three with wing-backs. And funnily enough, that's exactly how Chelsea played in the FA Cup final. Now, the real question is whether Chelsea have the players for it. And honestly, they probably do. Malo Gusto and Marc Cucurella are both very good attacking fullbacks who can operate as wing-backs. Chelsea also have plenty of centre-backs, so choosing a back three should not be a major problem. And this is the part people sometimes forget. Chelsea do have very good footballers, proper top-level players. The situation is not as terrible as it sometimes looks from the outside, because Alonso is walking into a squad with a very interesting spine. Cole Palmer is the creative maestro and the main goal threat. Yes, this wasn't his best season because of injuries, but we all know the level he can reach when he feels comfortable. In 2023/24, he produced 27 goals and 15 assists. And in the Club World Cup final, he looked like the best attacking midfielder on the planet. Moises Caicedo is the midfield engine, the best ball winner in the Premier League with 436 recoveries, constantly appearing everywhere on the pitch. His 1,603 completed passes show how much control he gives the team. And on top of that, his long-range shot is becoming a real weapon. Enzo Fernandez is the visionary playmaker. Right now, arguably Chelsea's best player. The world champion keeps producing even in difficult seasons. In a poor Chelsea campaign, Enzo still has 15 goals and 9 assists, and he has now put together back-to-back seasons with 20-plus goal contributions. Pedro Neto brings pace, width, and directness. He has delivered too, with 10 goals and 8 assists. Reece James remains the captain, the powerful right-back whose overlapping runs and crossing can be devastating when fit. Marc Cucurella gives energy on the left side and can even invert into midfield. Levi Colwill brings calm, leadership, and ball progression from centre-back. Then there's João Pedro, a striker who knows how to leave the box, press aggressively, and connect attacks, which fits perfectly with the high-pressing ideas Alonso likes. And even in a bad Chelsea season, the Brazilian adapted and scored all kinds of goals. Long-range shots,
spins away. Pedro doing well here.
Finishes inside the box,
Striding forward here. João Pedro.
Even bicycle kicks.
Good ball, Cucurella. João Pedro.
He's 1 goal or assist away from a 30-goal contribution season with 20 goals and 9 assists. And then Estevão Willian, Chelsea's jewel. There might not be a more unpredictable young talent in the Premier League. Injuries hurt his rhythm, but what he did at 19 years old was serious. He scored in 3 straight Champions League games, including a brilliant goal against Barcelona. In his first Premier League season, he scored against Liverpool and produced a goal and assist against Crystal Palace. This is a player who, in the future, can genuinely fight for Ballon d'Or conversations. Estevão Willian is Chelsea's diamond, but Alonso cannot just arrive and coach. He needs to work immediately. He needs clarity on Enzo Fernandez. Is Real Madrid really going to come for him? Will they make an offer? He needs clarity on Cole Palmer too. Does Palmer want Manchester United? Are United interested? He needs to sit down with these players and understand who is fully committed. There are also rumours about João Pedro and Barcelona. He is not for sale, but these conversations still need to happen. And this is why Alonso needs real influence in the transfer market. More influence than previous Chelsea managers had. He needs a voice, he needs a vote, and this summer he will be involved in both arrivals and departures. 2 names would make serious sense for Xabi Alonso's Chelsea. Victor Osimhen, who is coming off a 22-goal, 8-assist season and looks to be in one of the best moments of his career. Chelsea can go for him, and honestly he feels perfect for this squad. And then Murillo from Nottingham Forest. Chelsea have already seen how valuable leadership and personality can be with Levi Colwill returning from his ACL injury. They need more players with character, authority, and problem-solving ability when matches get messy. Murillo could be a very interesting opportunity for that defensive structure. Of course, Alonso and Bluco still need to evaluate the defence and even the goalkeeper situation, but the combination is genuinely exciting. Xabi Alonso with this young squad, this much talent, and real power in the market, that looks like a winning bet for Chelsea.